Manager, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll invite Aaron and Jamie Spinelli up to give the situation report. While they're approaching, just confirm, yes, this last legislative session, there was an amendment to state law relative to traffic enforcement camera programs. It had been very narrowly scoped. This opened it up a little bit, but we'll put together a briefing memo and identify time if needed outside of the reference already to the work of the Community Advisory Committee on Police. And then they're ready, so I'll turn it over to them.
Thank you, City Manager. Good evening again. Aaron Landy, Incident Commander on the Homelessness Emergency, joined by Jamie Spinelli, the Homeless Response Manager. I'm mostly going to have Jamie provide some context to the situation report that is in front of you, but I did want to note that we are endeavoring, per Council's request, to get the situation report to you a week earlier, to have the information just that much fresher about kind of, this is still a look back over the last month, but we're getting to you as quick as we can. So I'll let Jamie provide a little bit of context.
Good evening, Council. Jamie Spinelli, Homeless Response Manager. So last month or a few weeks ago when I was here, we had lost 9 people, and as of Friday, we are up to 17. Oh. 7 of those were just since March 25th. We have continued to work with Cressa VPD and the fire department on data collection and tracking for emergency purposes, and still working on some kind of protocol and definitions because all of law enforcement jurisdictions within our area have opted to participate in that data collection. So we're making sure that everybody kind of across the board is utilizing the same definitions for tracking calls for law enforcement related to unsheltered homelessness. We did conduct interviews for the second HEART officer in March, and spoiler alert, we hired one, and he's here actually. He's working council meeting tonight, so Officer Cody Esau is our second officer. Welcome to him. We've done a lot of cleanup activities. We've put Share House, the Sound Wall on Mill Plain, and Burnt Bridge Creek on every other week cleaning schedules so that we can get to those much more quickly, keep up with the garbage so there's not so much buildup. We did lots of community engagement and tours in March that spanned Michigan, Florida, all came to like visit or we did webinars or calls with. Department of Commerce, we're being used as a, what's the word for it? Case study for step housing. So that's kind of exciting. And Senator Patty Murray's office came down and did a tour. For our Safe Park and Safe Stays for the month of March, we had 10 total people exit to housing. 5 people who are have maintained sobriety or are accessing treatment services, detox, things like that, just within the month of March. The Outpost has already started planting seeds in their garden, which is very exciting. 415 West. So the Southwest Washington Victory Garden was awarded a grant to assist residents with building a garden and teaching cooking classes with the food that they grow out there. So this should be a fun spring. We've welcomed, if you see, a lot of new residents. So last month, I think we had like 11 people housed. So a lot of turnover in the last month. So now those folks are getting settled in. A lot of partnerships with dog run building, financial wellness classes, and employment. There's employment stuff, interview skills, things like that at the Y. And then I can't remember if I mentioned last month, but we have identified a property for community court. It is a city-owned property. We're just working on the lease agreement now. We should be ready to go with that in the next few months. I think that's pretty much the bulk of it. Yeah.
Questions of staff? Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to say thanks again for the work around, since you mentioned talking trash, the underpass of I-5 right there where the trail goes underneath was in horrible, horrible condition yesterday. So there's an opportunity. Very disheartening to hear the continued loss of life. You said 7 since March 25th?
Yes.
And is it still the case that the majority are related to fentanyl drug use, or?
The majority of those 7 were.
Yeah.
Overdose and a suicide.
And I kind of just looked at the calendar here for a second and counted the weeks since the solstice, which was, I think, when you're beginning this count, which I think was the 22nd of December. So we're still at a 1 per week since then, but it sounds like it's accelerating if we're having 7 since March 25th.
Yeah.
Do we have any thoughts on anything that we can do?
I mean, we have to get people inside, into place. The majority of these were unsheltered, so 2 of them were housed, but those were kind of longer-term health conditions. Those who were unsheltered, largely, or traumatic. We have to get people inside, supported. There's not really, there's not a ton of other options. If you're left outside, this is likely to occur for a variety of reasons, right? There aren't other people around to help if you end up in a bad situation, if you need Narcan, maybe you don't have enough Narcan. I mean, we're flooding the streets with Narcan, but it is taking more and more to reverse an overdose.
Well, thank you. And, I think I speak for all my colleagues when I say this. I hope I do, but we hear a lot of numbers. That one lands very, very hard. That one lands really hard on our hearts. And so please continue to apprise us, and if there's anything that we can do to be more proactive, very interested in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sober?
Thank you. I am heartened by 11 people moving out because we've been stuck for so long that any movement at all is really positive, and because to that point of we just created 11 more spots. It's the article that was in the Columbian this week about the mixture is frightening, and so I'm looking forward to hopefully someday being able to make progress on getting us to a bridge shelter, so we can do just what you want and get more people on. But thank you very much to you and your team for what you are doing. Yeah. This was, and to be said, 4 years ago, we pushed off as long as possible, trying to take on a personal role as a city, and we had some bumps along the way as we've come to where we are now, but it's also great that we are now a case study. Yeah, thank you.
And Jamie, thank you for putting all of those updates on the city website so that they're easily accessible so people can see the joyfulness and, unfortunately, our sad statistics. Thank you very much. Okay.